Hey everyone, my name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, so sit back, relax and enjoy. Lady wants me to fix gas pump. I took my escape to the local Ford shop outside the dealership to get my oil changed. I go in and I sort of vaguely know the guy behind the counter. I tell him what I need, he says it'll be about 45 minutes total. Cool, I'll wait in their little waiting area. I barely got myself sat down when an older lady rushes in and, for reasons completely unknown to me, starts complaining about gas pump number 3. But she's the type that is flightly and going to keep talking right on over you. So she starts talking. "Oh, I'm sorry, I managed to say before she goes on and on about the little hook thingy on the end of the deal, you know, and she can't get it to go, but that little hook thingy, etc, etc. I know nothing about gas pump maintenance, but her rapid-fire meandering descriptions weren't doing anyone any favors. An overly excitable parakeet came to mind. Sensing the briefest of lulls in her ramblings, I said, "I'm sorry, I don't work here." Naturally, she starts chirping again as I'm saying the word work. She's looking off in every direction at every person waiting for their cars, at the guy behind the counter just chittering away, saying a lot without ever really saying anything, you know. Mostly this is directed at me, but she's pivoting her head and just talking to the whole room. There was nothing wrong with her, just one of those elder Karens who was emote a level 10 threat over a level 2 issue. She ends it all by looking directly at me and saying, "So, pump number 3, thank you," and she walks back out to her car at the gas pump. Guy at the counter needs some more info from me because since the last time I was there, I got a new car, but also moved. After our exchange, I kinda patted the counter forcefully and said, as if I was his boss, "And if one of you could get on pump number 3, that'd be great." We had a chuckle and I sat back down. Lady comes parakeeting up toward the door again, and I took a deep breath ready to tell her that I don't work there. She doesn't come in but looks directly at me sitting in a chair, then parakeets back to her car and stands there. A mechanic came in from the shop. Guy behind the counter tells him the story as best as he could with what little information the lady gave. He says he'll take a look ASAP. They were busy. It was 2 days before Thanksgiving, assuming people were getting their cars checked before travel. Also, it had just snowed, so maybe winterization. And I also don't think he knew there was a lady actually out there. I can see her pacing around like a maniac, craning her neck and looking at the storefront. Counter guy is run-ragged booking new people in and going over the bills with others they had finished. Cue me getting an important phone call about my disabled mother's SSI benefits. It was just a number, so I answered it inside, but once I realized its importance, I took it outside. As I'm telling the SSI rep to hold on one sec, lady comes back in and looks at me with daggers in her eyes. She's simply aghast. I make it a point to tell the SSI rep that I was at the shop getting my car worked on, hoping that would kill 2 birds with 1 stone, let them know why I needed a sec, and let Parakeet know that I didn't work there. As I'm walking out the door, I hear her just exclaim, "And now he's just on the phone? Unbelievable!" She storms out after me. I think because she thinks I'm heading to her car and pump number 3. Obviously, I'm not. I continue off the property, across a small acre road and into the empty lot next door. I'll take the call with delicate personal information while also having a cigarette, I figured. All in all, I don't know, 100 feet away? Lady starts storming my direction, gets about halfway there and throws up her arms in disgust, like she's waiting for me to notice her. Finally, she turns on her heels and stomps back to her car, paces around it, stares at me, looks at the store. Finally, one of the mechanics goes out there. I obviously couldn't hear them, and I was preoccupied with my call anyway. I did see him do something at the pump, which took a millisecond, and the rest of the time she was clearly angrily animated, talking at him while gesturing and occasionally looking at me. She fills up her car and leaves by the access road I crossed. I get daggers from her as she drives past me. I get done with my call and go back in. The mechanic and the counter guy are both talking, so I asked her what her deal was. She didn't pull up the little lever that would activate the gas pump. She was just trying to pump gas to no avail. Facepalm. But the mechanic goes, "She really hates you." He goes on to say how she read him the riot act over me. I was lazy, incompetent, and more preoccupied with my phone and going on break than I was with helping her. She ended it with demanding I could be fired or she'd take her business elsewhere. Counter guy goes, "So, sorry, but we're gonna have to let you go." Dang, we laughed hard about that. I feel like this was a really confused Karen, because she never asked for the manager at all in that story, but she still kinda gave off the vibes. I don't work here anymore, but good memory. This happened just yesterday and I remembered I had this account, so here we go. I used to work as a sales advisor for a company that does basically free samples. If you've ever shopped in a Costco or Sam's Club, etc., you've seen us. I quit about 6 months ago and have been in culinary school for quite a while since. We wear a uniform when we have important events, and I was wearing my chef's jacket that had my name sewn in, so I can think why they thought I might have worked there at first. Me is me, LGM is the lady with the good memory, and X-Boss is self-explanatory. I was getting a couple ingredients from the store I used to work at, and this was after a final, so I was exhausted. I had put my cart aside and was looking at what ice cream to get when I heard some strange guttural noises from behind me. I turn around and it apparently was a lady clearing her throat, or had a hairball, can't tell. "I'd like to make a complaint about one of the employees." I default to what I used to say when I worked here. If it's for one of the Costco, Sam's Club, etc. employees, go to the office that way, but one of the demo people, their office is... Don't try and pass this off to someone else, take some initiative. At this point, I'm surprised because I thought she just said I worked there. I decided to correct her. I don't work here, I just go to culinary school. The good memory lady seems offended. "Don't lie to me, I've seen you behind those carts, you're OP, aren't you?" I thought she was just looking at my jacket, but I realized that she said my real name. My jacket has my middle name, which I prefer on it. So she actually remembers me from when I worked there. Go figure. "Sorry ma'am, I don't work here anymore. If you want, You know what? I have a complaint about you too now. Come on, you're coming with me to the office." At this point, I feel spiteful, and couldn't hurt to say hi to ex-boss, since we're still buds and play D&D occasionally. So I grab my car and lead the way. Grabbing a cart isn't helping your case, and then she called me a slur. Okay, that woke me up. I'm not gay, but my boyfriend is, so I was instantly seething inside. We get to the office and walk in on ex-boss on a speakerphone call. The good memory lady wastes no time. "Excuse me, I'd like to file a complaint on 2 of your employees." My ex-boss looks over at the phone, puts the person on hold, and notices that I'm there too, and seems confused. "What seems to be the problem?" "One of your employees isn't using gloves or even unwrapping what they're serving, and the young man with me refused to help or speak to her." My ex-boss looks at me and seems to realize what's going on. She says, "Do you know who the employee without gloves was?" "Yes, it was the one handing out chocolate." "Those are already wrapped and don't require gloves because of that. They actually have to keep the wrapper on because it contains peanuts, so that keeps them safe." The good memory lady looks a bit deflated, but then points at me and says, "Well, he tried to pretend he doesn't work here. He just ignored me." My ex-boss wasted no time. "That's because he doesn't. He quit about a year and a half ago. He is just a customer here." The lady is thrown for a loop. She seems like someone just told her that the customer isn't always right. I decide to capitalize on this. "I'd like to make a complaint on one of the customers." The lady is shocked, but ex-boss asks me to continue. This woman called me a slur and refused to let me continue on my shopping. The lady has her mouth open. "I didn't, you don't, I would never." My ex-boss smiles at me and says, "I'm sorry for the trouble she caused you. Would you like to file anything?" The lady at this point storms out, walking away towards the door with her basket still in hand. We see security stop her and share a laugh, and ex-boss and I chat for a bit about when the next D&D session is. You definitely have to get a paid membership to get into those places, don't you? Because she should definitely get that revoked. I am not Santa's elf. I am just lost on the way to get Christmas card photos. The other day, my mother wanted my siblings and I to do Christmas card photos. She had a nice list of what she wanted, and while it annoyed us, it always does make her happy when we pose for Christmas card photos as a nice family. This year, she wanted us to dress like elves. Well, us kids anyways. So I got into my elf costume. It's Christmas time and I have seen a lot stranger stuff than a wandering elf this time of year. So I head to the mall. I am late. I rush up and look for the directory to see if I can find the photo place on it. Yeah, should have been on time. I am trying to figure out the location when I hear someone clearing their throat. I shuffle over a bit. Maybe I am blocking the view. The throat clearing again. Maybe the person is sick. I reach into my coat pocket. "Need a cough drop?" I asked as I turn, holding up a cough drop. There was a rather annoyed looking woman. "About time! Where is Santa?" demanded the woman. "Excuse me?" I replied, confused. "Where is Santa?" snapped the woman. The North Pole? Downstairs? Out to lunch? Maybe on a date with Mrs. Claus? How should I know?" I said, as I listed random things as I thought of them. The woman crossed her arms. "Seriously? Are you just trying to mess with me?" growled the woman. That was when I noticed the small little girl dressed to the nines next to her. "No, I am," I started. "An elf. You should know where Santa is. He isn't downstairs, and we are in a hurry. Call him. My daughter wants to see him," growled the woman. I looked at this woman and to the little girl. I didn't want to burst the little girl's bubble, but I didn't have time to deal with this. "Oh, sorry miss, you got the wrong division of elf. I am not a part of appearances or guard duty, miss. so I don't deal with Santa. I am in charge of the reindeer. Vixen is picky, and I was going to pick her up a treat, so I was trying to find the store on here for reindeer. You know, this place isn't very reindeer friendly. I started and began to yammer on about reindeer as I shuffled around the sign. Well, I would love to stay and chat, but if I slouch off, Mrs. Claus will have my hide. Toodles, I said, and then legged it out of there. I could hear her yell after me, but I didn't look back. After a bit, I found the photo studio and we took the photos. I told my siblings about the whole thing, and my bro had this to say. Your own dumb fault for dressing like an elf. Maybe I am at fault. That was really good how they dealt with it, because that kid would be really confused if the elf was just like, no, I don't work here. Wow, those two videos look really appealing. I'm gonna have to click at least one of them. Right guys? Click one of them if you want to see some more stories.